Hello everyone, it's Brian, and it's finally my turn to enter the latest contest from Richard McCook. And this one has been going around. I'm sure you've seen a few. I don't know if I have to go over the rules because you probably know them, but I will say them anyway. In addition to all those usual things about being a subscriber, the core of it is to show 4 eponymously titled records, or 4 records that are self-titled, to show a record in your collection that has the longest title and the record in your collection with the shortest title. Finally, there's a bonus question, which is rather enigmatic, and I think it's confounding people. Some of the answers have been quite interesting. I will make an attempt to answer that question. But let's start with the 4 records first. But I should note that I think it's worth noting that Richard's channel itself is eponymously named, right? It's Richard McCook. It's not Richard Spins Vinyl or Richard's Vinyl Den or whatever, or Richard's Vinyl Dungeon. It's just Richard McCook, which I think is kind of cool. So 4 eponymously titled records, and I'm not going to show this one. So I'm going to show a record that's self-titled, that's a debut, a record that's a second record, a self-titled record that's a third record from an artist, and finally a self-titled record that's a 4th record from an artist, because why not? So because it's Richard, I'm going to start with one of his favorite artists, and that is David Bowie. This is David's first record from 1967. Now this is a repressing from 2010, and what's notable about this pressing is that it has the mono version and the stereo version. So there's two records in here, which I think is kind of cool. And of course, not everyone loves this record. Some people rather hate it. I probably wouldn't have bought it, but it was a gift, and I have listened to it several times. I think it's kind of interesting, but obviously the best was yet to come. So that is a debut record that's self-titled. For a second record that is self-titled, I've chosen Matt Bianco, something that's often confused as being a person, but this is a band name, not a person's name. This is their second record from 1986, and this is a Canadian pressing. This is probably most notable for the track Yeah Yeah, which is a really infectious kind of dancey song that I really enjoy. I have listened to the original version of that. It's also equally fun. This is a 12-inch dance mix on here, and it's written by it was written by Grant, Patrick, and Hendrix. I don't really know much about them, but kind of a fun record. So that's a second record. And for a third record that is self-titled, I went straight to the Velvet Underground. This is the third record. The first without John Cale and the first with Doug Yule. And that, I was going to say for better or for worse, but it's for worse for me. Although this is a good record. And, you know, it's a really strong record. It has some really great tracks on it. It's just, for me, I really like the John Cale contributions. Again, this is a Canadian pressing, probably from the 80s, though, probably not from 1969. But that's pretty cool. And for a 4th record that's eponymously titled, I chose Love and Rockets, called Love and Rockets from 1989. Still in the shrink. I've had this since 1989. It was a kind of a big deal because of the song So Alive, which was a big track for them. But equally, there's Motorcycle, I Feel Speed, No Big Deal. I mean, it's a pretty good record. I think the earlier stuff from this band is probably stronger, but this is pretty solid. And yeah, I think it's pretty good. Anyway, of the 4 that I showed, obviously the Velvet Underground is my favorite one. So the record that has the most characters in the title, and this could include commas and periods and brackets and dashes and whatnot. And I chose something that is not from a singer or a band. I chose a compilation record, and it's called No Nukes. And you might think, well, that's a pretty short title, but according to Discogs and this record, the actual title is No Nukes. From the Muse Concerts for a Non-Nuclear Future, Madison Square Garden, September 19th to 23rd, 1979, and if you add that up, that's 88 characters. It's 3 records. There's this interesting booklet here which has lots of information about nuclear power, nuclear waste, risks to your health, etc. So it's kind of interesting. And it has kind of got the who's who of artists: the Doobie Brothers, Jackson Browne, Crosby, Stills and Nash, etc. Tom Petty's on here, Nicolette Larson, Gil Scott-Heron. It's a triple record set, and it's in beautiful shape because I played this once. It's been stored in a sleeve the entire time, and the reason I bought it is because I wanted these 2 Springsteen tracks on side 5 there, Stay and the Detroit medley, and it was the only time you could get those, or the only place you could get those. And of course, they've re-released the entire concert on recently, but so I had to order it from my local shop back then, 1979. Or was it after that? It might have been after that. But anyway, it's in perfect shape. So for the record that has the shortest or the fewest amount of characters, I had two that were tied. So at least two that were tied. So they were both called 2. So I chose Mac DeMarco 2. This is his second record from 2012. He's a kind of a strange Canadian singer-songwriter, really quirky. Just, it's hard to even describe him. He's from Edmonton, but you'd never really guess that. And there's a poster in here. Here's the side. I'm assuming this is drawn by Mac DeMarco, and this flip side has images including Mac DeMarco in a bath, someone with a 2 on their forehead. I don't know if that's him or not. It's hard to tell. So he's a strange guy, and his music is a bit strange, but it's also kind of enjoyable. All right, so obviously there's one character there. So the last question, which I've enjoyed answers to so far because they're very inventive, and someone said maybe 25% of Richard's collection is ABBA records, which I would find hard to believe. So it has something to do with his channel or something to do with his music collection, and people have taken a stab at, maybe it has to do with some proportion of subscribers, or maybe the number of videos, all these ratios and things. So you're thinking of a quarter, 25%, 1 in 4, 2.5 out of 10. That's what Richard said. I'm going to say, and I'm going to preface this by saying I'm probably wrong, but I was thinking of YouTube Analytics. For those who don't make videos, there's a fairly sophisticated interface that shows you analytics for the last 30 days or 60 days or a year, or you can change it to the lifetime of the channel. And I used to look at it a lot. I don't really look at it anymore, but one thing it tells you is the age of people who are watching, the gender, if YouTube actually knows that, where the views are coming from, that kind of thing. And I'm going to take a guess that it has to do with YouTube Analytics, and I'm going to narrow that down by saying that I think it has to do with numbers or percentage of people who are subscribed. So, for example, the last time I looked for the last year of my channel, 30% of the people who watch my channel were not subscribed. So I'm going to guess that for Richard, that number for whatever period of time is 25%. So that a quarter, or 1 in 4 of Richard's viewers are not subscribed to his channel. That's my guess. It could be the reverse, but I would doubt it. So I think that is my guess, that 1 in 4 viewers to his channel are not actually subscribed. And that's my answer. It's the best I can do. I'm pretty sure I'm wrong, but I have answered the bonus question. So if you don't know Richard's channel, which seems highly unlikely, check it out. It's a good channel and lots of interesting content. But thanks for watching, and I'll catch up later.